So there's this story about the famous guy, famous mathematician Joseph Lagrange. Did a lot of work in calculus, mechanics, whatnot. He was a big shot. Died a Parisian in the early 1800s. He was a contemporary of none other than my buddy Euler, the master of us all. In fact, he was recommended by Euler to take over his post at in Berlin. Lived in Berlin most of his life. Went to Paris, latter part of his life. Rumor has it that he wrote letters to Euler describing stuff that he had invented. Euler, in a very nice gesture, replied with courtesy, withheld papers explaining that he had already proven all that stuff. It's old news to him. Anyways, this guy comes up in our lecture today, famous Lagrange, and I'll show you how in just a second. Today what we're doing is we're doing the rest of the Taylor series lectures, maybe our last dose here. Let me just review quickly where we've been. So we've been trying to write functions here as really long polynomials, which leads to some amazing ideas like this. Does that look like a polynomial? No, it doesn't. Well, wait, it is a polynomial. Wow, I know, huh? Check this out. Is that a polynomial? I don't think so. But wait, is it? Yes, it is. Amazing. We've been writing things that couldn't be polynomials as polynomials in an amazing way. So the combination of all our sequence and series studies here, this expansion of functions in terms of polynomials, all thanks to this amazingly important formula here for the coefficients. The coefficients tell you the DNA for the polynomial, and we have an amazing formula for the coefficients. You just figure out the nth derivative or n factorial. Amazing. That leads to some other important, really important questions. That is what we'll be doing today. If we cut off the tail, meaning so suppose you've got this function here, sine, and you expand it using the polynomial. This is really long. But suppose you don't have time. Ain't nobody got time to write this whole thing for infinite many terms. Suppose it just stops somewhere and say, wait a minute, what if I cut off the tail? Is this good enough? Well, it wouldn't be equal anymore. You'd have to say, well, it's approximate. And that leads to the following question. Well, how bad is it? How bad would the error be if I cut it off here? That's what we have to discuss today. You can rephrase it this way. If this is the 9th degree, if that was where you decided to stop, this would be called the 9th degree approximation. The rest of it would be called the leftovers after the 9th degree. But people don't call it the leftovers. They usually call it the remainder, or sometimes R9 for short. The remainder after the 9th degree approximation. If there's nothing special about 9, you could say 7. This would be the 7th degree approximation. This would be the 7th degree leftover, or the remainder. The smaller you get this approximation, the bigger the error gets, obviously. So you have this notion here, when this one grows, the other one's small, like this. You like the animation? Alright, so in general, what we're trying to do today is figure out, hey, how bad can these things get? And for that, we will use something from Lagrange. The second question we're going to address today is, does such an expansion always exist? The short answer is going to be no, and that leads to the other question. Well, what conditions would be sufficient to guarantee that we can actually take this function that may not look like a polynomial and write it as a long polynomial? What conditions would ensure that such thing will work? That would be the second question we've got to address today. If we can get these two questions down today, we'll call it a good day. Alright, come back and we'll do this one in the next video. Keep them short and simple. Peace. Lagrange.